economics, Black education, Black health in our own community when we possess the same thinking capacity that every other nationality has, and we can do that for ourselves. But the question is, will we take our dollars out that Black beauty supply store? That beauty supply store. And will we come together and open up our own beauty supply store?
Let me play devil's advocate.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why we're getting the results is because Blacks, they don't have the capital. So
how can you say that we don't have the capital when you just read the statistics
hold on,
that
brother.
we are the leading purchasers?
Yes, we are. But if we're not investing into business,
we don't have the plan.
There you go.
It's not the capital.
It's not the capital.
We have not taken the time to put the plan together properly. Right now, I believe that that's what a lot of the leaders are trying to do.
Yes.
Within the Black Wall Street, within the National Black Agenda Convention, within the National Black Agenda Consortium, Blacks and Greens, so on and so forth. This brother here, my organization, we are the Underground Railroad. It's just that simple, okay? You are a part of the Underground Railroad, brother. At the end of the day, we have to begin our attack, and I call it Operation Community Take Back, hashtag Operation Community Take Back. And it fully supports hashtag Justice or Else. We simply start somewhere like Madison and Pulaski, the business corridor there. We know since NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, under the Clinton administration, let's be clear, that our jobs went overseas, and as a result, we wound up with a lot of counterfeit goods. If we took and we went down the Madison and Pulaski corridor and the 63rd and Halstead Street corridor, and we had the federal government go in those stores and pull all of those goods, I guarantee they'll find in tops and bottoms on the second or third floor the folks up there making the clothes with the sewing machines, okay? They are violating the Latham Act of 1946. Any stores that sell counterfeit goods, the fake Michael Kors purses, the fake Gucci belts that our people run around and pay top dollar for on Madison and Cicero, all of the fake clothing that is being sold in our community, we pay for that. That's why our dollar only circulates 6 hours in the community, because as soon as our people get the money, they go spend it on counterfeit goods. Just that simple.
Let me just say this. If we were to do something as simple as this, if we were to get 50 people that said, once I get my income tax check in January, I'm going to get with these 50 people, 25 people, and we're going to open up our own business. We're going to go downtown to the city of Chicago. We're going to go ahead and get a business license. We're going to go across the street to the Illinois building and get a tax ID number. And we're going to go ahead and open up a place that we can rent. And we're going to go to the wholesalers and we're going to take the income tax check of 25 people. Because that's what the Koreans do. Because that's what other people do. They go and get money from all the businesses and one go and buy for the rest of the businesses. So now you got one man who's able to spend $50,000 versus the Black business that's able to spend $5,000.
But brother, at this point, we shouldn't even have to wait that long. With all of the vacant land in the commercial districts under the National Wall Street legislative push, there is no way that Moinoik should have been vacant this long, okay? And people are homeless in our community. We live in an area where we have no food. We're in a food desert, okay? When you go in those stores in the community, half the time they have rodents running around, but this is the stuff that they want to sell to our people, okay? Let's be clear. There is no reason that facility on Madison Street, Moinoik, should have been sitting there all this time, and people are out on the streets right now homeless. It comes down to being creative and saying, you know what,
Absolutely.
elected officials, we don't want this blight, this vacant property, this dilapidated property in our community. We have organizations in the community that are willing to come in and clean this property up. But Mr. Elected Official, because you have a real estate license, because you are a real estate broker, you have too much of a vested interest, Mr. Elected Official, at the very local level. I'm not talking about the state reps. I'm talking about the aldermen who run and control the land in our communities and continue to sell it off piece by piece to corporate America. And they're not from our communities. So yes, I find it to be quite disturbing to see what my people in the community go through while they do this all day, every day, like everything is good, and it's not. You don't live on the west side. You don't live on the south side. If you did, you wouldn't wake up to the poverty every single day. Just that simple. You would do
And
something
they hold the
about it.
resources, you know, they hold the resources. They know what programs are in place to assist someone in opening business or assist someone in acquiring land or to cut through the red tape. They have the resources, and that's why they're in that position, or why they're supposed to be in that position.
If you're not
is
on
to
their
unlock
team,
there you go.
If you're not on their team, rooting for them, number one, figure out a workforce development plan to pay the community if you want them to go out and vote for you. Figure that out. But don't try to leverage community resources for your votes.
Yeah.
And this continues to happen in Chicago. Period, point blank. Those people, we have to hold them accountable.
That's
Until
right.
we do, they're going to continue to do the same thing. It's David and Goliath. They are man. They're not going to win if our people rise up and follow God's will. It's just that simple. It's not hard.
Well, there's a question regarding that. Do you think the reason for this so-called police brutality and the laws that are implemented among African Americans is because we as a race are not recognized by the law? Now, I'm going to go a little bit further. According to the United Nations Article 15, Declaration on Human Rights, it states clearly, everyone has a right to a nationality. Because of civil rights, does any African Americans are being recognized via state law? What that means is basically, we as a race, brothers and sisters, and why the judges are ruling the way they're ruling, why if we have stores, why they're being taken away, is because because of an article, we're not being recognized by the Constitution.
And judged by the same standard.
Correct. So what do you guys think?
In January, as you know, the United Nations will be here, and there will be a collaborative effort with one of the organizations, Chicago Anti-Eviction Campaign, in addition to one of the organizations that I work with, National Blaq Agenda Consortium and National Blaq Agenda Convention. We've updated the 2016 Blaq Agenda, and I believe I sent you a copy of it, Roman. And ultimately, we are presenting this through the U.S. Human Rights Association and to the UN. The human rights piece is so fierce that ultimately, after the United States had been supposedly sanctioned for violating the human rights of its citizens, we now have to take it a step further and hold each state and each city personally accountable for violating the rights of its citizens. Now, as far as the race piece, when I worked for U.S. Department of Commerce, my first question was, why do we only have a few races listed out, but we have a long list of ethnic backgrounds? And this concerns me because I'm Black and Puerto Rican. My mom is Puerto Rican, first generation from Puerto Rico. My father, African American. Someone like me would then have to try to figure out, well, if I click on this one under race as opposed to ethnic group, which one counts? Why does it take me down a completely different portal? Well, I asked this of the director years ago. He said that's something we have to address. But keep in mind, this is funding that goes into our communities based on our race and our ethnic not our ethnic background, but our race. So if that Article 15, can't get it defined clearly, and the U.S. Department of Commerce Census Bureau can't define race clearly and explain why when you select race as opposed to an ethnic group, the questions are different, okay? And these were 3 to 4 hour interviews that I really can't disclose what they were about. But I'll tell you this, we conducted those interviews not long, maybe 5 to 10 years before the healthcare reform had been passed, okay?
You want to add to that?
Yeah, and I just want to say at the end of the day, the power is going to lie amongst our people. No matter what is on those books, and it has to be changed. But we have people that are representatives of our communities. And when it comes to the representatives who are being paid to be in those political positions, we have to make sure that we hold them accountable at the end of the day, because if they're not voicing our struggles and our ideas, then we have to replace them with people that do. And so when it comes to supports, when it comes to votes, when it comes to those type of things, that's where the power of our people lie at. Now, those type of things, as far as the laws that are on the books, yeah, of course, they have to be changed. But we're not going to wait until they're changed in order to get justice, or in order to stand up and let our voice be heard, or to back up or stand behind a candidate who's going to voice our views. These are things that we can do right now. We don't have to wait on the United Nations to come here. We don't have to wait on anyone else. And this is what our generation is talking about. I'm a part of that hip hop generation. I'm a part of that rebellious generation. I'm a part of that generation that says that I'm not going to go with status quo because this is the way things used to be. I'm like, no, damn it, we're going to change it and we're going to make it what we want it to be.
Getting back to the case of the Laquan McDonald, the 16-year-old young man who has been arrested over and over again via the protest, he was let go throughout the protest situation. There's a question that's been popping up on social media. I want to address it to you guys. Why this young man is not being mentored? And why is this young man not in school?
You're not talking about Brother Malcolm, are you?
Define Malcolm.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
He's I didn't want to call him out.
Okay, I
but
understand
the
what you're saying.
16-year-old, the dreadlocks. But go ahead and answer
Oh, okay.
that question.
All right.
You know which one I'm talking about. I don't
Okay,
want to call him out like.
right,
But
well-
my other question will be, because it ties in, that former Alderman Dorothy Tillman blasted the protest and the effects, saying that she called out